Pretty Little Liars is a show that deals with disturbing and problematic topics. With that, we'll be discussing them throughout the podcast episode, and we have included a list of content warnings in the episode description.
We're back with a new mystery. Welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And this time we are leaving the Southern California town of Neptune and heading over to Pennsylvania to the town of Rosewood. We are going to deep dive into the 2010s teen thriller murder mystery, Pretty Little Liars. Are you a Pretty Little Liar?
I guess we'll find out.
And so why are we doing this? Well, one, we finished Veronica Mars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you are subscribed to the Life on Mars podcast feed and you're wondering what the hell is Dead Ends, well, that's what it is now.
It's us, but different.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Pretty Little Liars is glorious millennial teen trash. Like, it's trash TV, but like 2010 to 2017, you know? The glory years.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we're doing this because unlike with Veronica Mars, where we'd both seen the show, Brenton's never watched the show all the way.
Nope.
You did, in fact, watch the series finale.
Yeah.
Did you pay attention? Probably not.
No, the only thing I remember is one very specific twist, but we've got a long way to get there.
And you'll forget about it. Trust me, I forget every time. Also, because I think the first 2 to 3 seasons of the show have an exceptional storytelling arc. Like, it's actually a really good mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they actually had a plan. Like, it had a plot.
Yeah.
And then you hit, you hit chaos. We're also doing this because my dear friend Heather sent me Mike's Mike remake, because I'm saying it like it's his or retelling. Does that make sense?
Right.
Mike's retelling, his totally unhinged recap of Pretty Little Liars, and it is
YouTube is MIKE''S''MIC.
Okay. But it's his, so then it's Mike's.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I know.
I majored in English.
Yeah, just wanted to parse it.
I binged his 3-video recap that he posted at the end of 2021, and it was glorious. He really retold the story in ways that we will be unable to. So if you actually want to follow the plot, or like you just want to know what happened in Pretty Little Liars, highly recommend those videos. Also, if you watched it, will
be a lot shorter than this.
Yes, and also if you watched it, it might just help you refresh your memory.
There you go.
He mentioned a lot of things that I'd completely forgotten about. People, places, situations, the whole thing. And finally, and the most important point of this is that I truly believe, and I could write a dissertation on this, that Pretty Little Liars walked so that Riverdale could run. Riverdale could not be the level of unhinged that it is without Pretty Little Liars having first taken that spot. So a little about my experience with Pretty Little Liars. I think I started watching it the summer of 2012. I was 19. I'd had my tonsils taken. Don't do that. If you're over the age of like 16 and you can avoid it, keep them. It wasn't worth it. It hurt so bad. I thought I was going to die. It was a little dramatic, but little kids recover fine. The older you get, the worse your tonsils getting out. But sometimes you have to have them taken because you got strep twice a quarter, 3 times a quarter, every quarter of your freshman year.
Yeah.
And so your doctor goes, you can't keep those. I'm fine now, much healthier. But so I recovered from my tonsillectomy, and I was laying on a futon in the living room of my parents' house so that they could all watch me recover. My family's weird. We'll unpack that. You're not my therapist. It's fine.
Yeah.
And
they're not religious either, so it's not some ritual or anything.
No. And they didn't dress me in white or like do any sacrifices. Like, very normal. But 2 of my dear friends, one of them, the aforementioned Heather, came over and we started watching Pretty Little Liars. I think season 3 was on TV at the time. Might have been 2, but I think it was the first part of 3 before they hit like the mid-season finale. And I was like, this show's really good. And so I was on hardcore pain medication. And I was like, well, I need to watch the first 2 seasons. So I don't remember if my mom bought me the DVDs or if they were on demand. Because you remember how Xfinity had or Comcast had on demand TV?
Yes. Yeah, we didn't. But yeah, arcade, whatever cable company it was.
Yeah. We had on demand. And so I watched the first 2 seasons and then up to where it was live. And from that point forward, I watched it live on television. And I was addicted because it's a pretty good mystery. Or at least it was then.
Okay.
So back to this podcast, the format. We did Veronica Mars. We tried to go through the plot in its entirety every single time and nitpick as we went. And we realized that was exhausting and time consuming. And you took inspiration from a podcast you listened to.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go subscribe to the Great Gundam. Well, so you can go subscribe to the Abnormal Mapping Network because I took it from Great Gundam Project. $1 a month and you get to listen to Gundam. There you go. There's the pitch.
Very cool.
Really good podcast.
But apparently I have not listened. Allegedly, I will have to listen at some point. They recap the episode at the beginning and then dig into the meat.
Yeah.
And that seems like a better format for us because there's a lot in these episodes. It goes boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and I think it facilitates a better conversation. Having her kind of getting that out of the way up top, and then you can kind of come back in and stuff.
Perfect. All right. Well, then let's dig in to the background information I pulled on Pretty Little Liars.
Perfect.
So first,
I was complete cultural at the time of this that Pretty Little Liars was airing. No idea. So I know nothing about like the context.
It was the summer. It aired the summer before you left for college.
Yeah. So
summer of 2010.
Yeah, 2010. I don't even know what TV I was watching. Probably stuff that was like on HBO. Probably like I know at least in college it was like for freshman year it was like Entourage. I think like Eastbound and Down, and probably like full sitcoms. So I completely missed out on this.
Well, not anymore, baby.
There you go.
Welcome. So Pretty Little Liars aired on Freeform when it was still known as ABC Family. Where I personally watched Gilmore Girls and Seventh Heaven reruns. That was what I knew ABC Family as. It was where I started watching Gilmore Girls.
Oh, that's really funny.
Because I think I started watching it probably like a year or two after it came out. But you know what I mean? Like the first 2 or 3 seasons were like always on at like 5 p.m. on Freeform. 5 or 6.
Gotcha.
And so it would be like Seventh Heaven, I think, or ABC Family. It would be Seventh Heaven and then Gilmore Girls. And so I would watch it before I went to dance class. So it had to have been over before 6:30 or 7.
Yeah, probably. I don't know if I remember watching ABC Family, but I couldn't tell you what. But I remember the iteration beforehand. I think it was called Fox Family or Fox Kids, and I can't remember.
That was the same channel?
I believe so. And then Fox Family is the one that had Digimon.
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon.
So watching
champions. I really liked the theme song.
Did you know they have a completely different theme song in Japanese? But I digress.
Is it a bop too?
It's actually much better.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Digimon stuck with me for 20 something years.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I don't know how long it was on, but
yeah, I just remember it was another place that I watched cartoons and.
Perfect. Well, so Pretty Little Liars aired from 2010 to 2017 on Freeform ABC Family. It has an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes.
There you go.
Which I feel like is very high for something I enjoyed. Like most of the movies I love, I'm pretty sure Center Stage is like in the 30s. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be in the 50s,
no,
but
I'm pretty sure
it's
right.
pretty low. And like Center Stage is like, if you defined me by movies, Center Stage, 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, that has a high Rotten Tomato.
There we go. So I have a little something to go off of.
I know you and the critics have an antagonistic relationship, but
we can agree sometimes.
Yeah, I believe it does.
And I'm assuming that's like an average, or do they put the highest score? I don't know. I don't know.
For Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah,
it's an average.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because some seasons of Pretty Little Liars do better than others.
Oh yeah, for TV shows, I see what you mean.
I'm
I'm not sure, but we can.
Yeah, you can do a little looky-loo. So because that's surprising and strange to me, I'm not gonna lie, because like anything having a higher than like a 60 that I enjoyed, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's total show.
Okay, well that's fair.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh
Oh
some
wait, no, they
seasons,
break it down by season.
yeah, they do, but some seasons are way better than others, and
Mhm.
like the critics and the people agree. Um,
So I'm assuming they've got a weird poll for Rotten Tomatoes here.
the numbers of people that they
Oh,
talk to, I think, vary exponentially.
yeah. Yeah, it looks like season 4 is 100%, and then like 1 is the lowest season with 69. Interesting.
It's lower than the last one. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Huh. That's bizarre.
I mean, it doesn't start strong. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't I don't want to come I don't want to come down too hard on the pilot, but
No, it does not start strong. The
No.
show gets better. The mystery is good. And I think the plot makes more sense in these first couple seasons. I feel
okay.
like 2 is where it really picks up.
Mhm.
So there are 160 episodes of the show, not including the Ravenswood spinoff, which I believe is 10
Mhm.
episodes. It was a backdoor pilot. We'll get to it when we get to it. I don't know if we'll watch it. You know, if enough people really wanna hear our thoughts on it, maybe we can do that as like an additional little supplemental piece. But
Yeah, totally.
well, it's a while until we get to Ravenswood
Uh-huh.
spinoff.
Had also floated the idea of book club reading the books. That would be more spaced out, but
Yes. So there are quite a few books. I believe there are 24 books.
Good
Double
God.
check. But and there's also, so there's 160 episodes. There's also a web series that came out. I think it was in between the season 3 mid-season finale and when they picked back up for the season,
Okay.
because the show aired at like weird times. So the Pretty Little Liars books, there are 16 and 2 companion novels.
Damn.
So there's a handful.
Mhm. Yeah, just a little bit.
It's a chunky crew. I've never read any of them. There was a book series called The Click, I think, around the same time.
I remember that being a
And
book series.
I read The Click. I read part of The Click. I didn't read
Yeah.
all of The Click, and I didn't really like it because it was like just rich girls, and like, fun fact about me, that's not really something at the time I could relate to.
Got it.
I was not in a financially abundant scenario as a youth.
Right. Without
And that level.
that's what I was gonna say. Without, say, a murder mystery or something to take you through.
Yeah, or like the characters weren't, I don't remember the characters being very compelling, but I also
Right.
was like a very critical reader as a child.
Was The Click also the same time as Gossip Girl book
I
series?
don't, maybe.
Okay.
But yes. So we have a web series, we have a backdoor pilot show. There were 2 I think like spin-off shows they tried to do after the series ended, and they brought a couple of the characters on for them, and I think they each only made it a season, much like Ravenswood.
Gotcha.
So there's just something about Pretty Little Liars that was hardy.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find
And
for
hard
sure.
to spin off into.
Well, and it just seems like like people were so tied into this one specific mystery that like any sort of spin-off just didn't have the same pull
Yeah,
to it.
right.
But yeah, so it's a chunky series. 160 episodes.
There you go. Yeah.
Many hours of my life that I gave to this mystery.
Yeah, that's a lot. And yeah, for comparison, we did 73 episodes of Veronica Mars, and that's including a movie.
Yes. Well, we don't have a movie here, but
Right. That's what I'm saying.
The Veronica Mars movie though it's a
that's a good one.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give a quick summary of the premise of the show,
Okay.
and then you can dig into what you've learned from the pilot. So it's super simple. Allison, ringleader of friend group, blonde girl, absolute teenage monster, kind of bullies her friends, kind of like she likes secrets, likes to know things. She goes missing. That's the premise. The show picks up a year after she disappeared and focuses on Allison's former besties, Aria, Hannah, Emily, and Spencer. And the 4 girls kind of like went their separate ways after Allie disappeared because like trauma. But they start receiving these creepy text messages from an anonymous person who signs their text with the letter A, and then the plot just goes.
Okay.
And it gets tangential, and you start learning about things that you're like, how does this tie into who A is? And I'll stop there in an attempt to not spoil anything.
Perfect.
Show stars Troyan Bellisario as Spencer Hastings, Lucy Hale as Aria Montgomery, Ashley Benson as Hannah Marin, Shay Mitchell as Emily Fields, Sasha Pierce as Allison DeLaurentis, and Janelle Parrish as Mona Vanderwall. So those are our main ladies.
Okay. I didn't know
Mona's last name.
Well, there's a few things like, I didn't know that she would be that important to the show.
I'm just going off of the women we've seen, the young girls we've seen in this first episode too. So Troyan was, let's talk about age.
Okay.
Troyan, 24, playing 16 in the pilot. Lucy Hale was 20, playing 16 in the pilot. Sasha was 12-ish. 12 or 13.
That is wild. You can't do that.
I mean,
you can, but
I think she's one of those. I couldn't find anything that confirmed this, so this could be pure conjecture. But like similar to like the Mila Kunis, like pretending to be a different age when she auditioned. Like it was kind of like I'm playing 14, and then it's like maybe she wasn't.
But still,
yeah. But so obviously she doesn't have a lot of scenes. You know what I mean?
Right,
So it's not like she's doing a lot.
No.
So I think that's kind of how they got away with it, because like she's not there.
Yeah, it's just funny that they didn't like why they didn't with her. When they like got like 20-year-olds to play everybody else.
Because she's not in it. I also wonder if because they were planning on doing flashbacks for a long time, they wanted someone who would continue to look young. Does that make sense? But you would think that then like a 20-year-old would be also like
you would think it would clash when everybody else is like late 20s. So that's weird.
Shay Mitchell was 23 playing 16. Ashley Benson was 20.
Who did Shay Mitchell play?
Emily.
Okay.
Ashley Benson was 20 playing 16, and Janelle was 21 playing 16.
And then Janelle is Mona.
The men. I'm gonna leave off a couple of these because you don't know them yet.
Perfect.
Ezra, played by Ian Harding.
Okay.
He was 24-ish playing 23. They were like age appropriate.
Yeah, pretty close. Exactly. Nail on the head with these men.
Why do these ages matter? They matter because they're going to be inappropriate relationships.
Going to be.
They're currently are.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Well, maybe they haven't watched it yet, you know.
And that also makes more sense too. We'll talk about that, I think.
Multiple adult men throughout the series are interested in or inappropriately have conversations with children, with high schoolers. But when you first watch this show, for example, for me, I was on hydrocodone, I believe.
You're also similarly high out there.
I was recovering from a surgery, and I was like, this doesn't look age inappropriate because I'm seeing a 20 or 21-year-old with like a 23, 24-year-old, and my brain goes normal.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Right.
That is not the case. And that's an important thing to remember because I was not fazed by it at the time because I was 19 and also
I want to at least kind of table a little bit of talking about the age differences with the men till like once we're kind of talking about stuff. Because I think this lines up. This is not just a Pretty Little Liars thing, is all I want to say.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Card Captor Sakura had a student teacher.
Yes, that was one of my examples.
So the show has problematic scenes. It has problematic themes. It talks about mental health in problematic ways. We'll address these things as they come up, but I just want to put that out there. The show is glorious trash, but like the trash is heavy on the trash. Yeah. And I think that's important to note. Also, but
it's a soap opera.
Yeah, it is a soap opera, and it is a 2010s soap opera. One thing I did really benefit from Pretty Little Liars, I learned at 19-ish. Don't trust the police. The police are not helpful.
That is very apparent in this first episode.
I did not predict that theme would be so prominent in my later years because I am a white woman who grew up in a fairly small town. But yeah, no, it's an important lesson I learned.
Yeah.
Couple final notes. The show, it's based on a book series, Pretty Little Liars. Sarah Shepard wrote it. And the showrunner is Marlene King. We all just called her Marlene back in the day.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And then Sarah Shepard is
The
not
author.
right.
Not involved in the show. I think at
Okay.
some point she does cameos towards the end of the series, maybe.
Got it.
I can't remember.
That's interesting. Okay.
She had a couple other like book series that like got picked up for like shows that then never made it very far. Also on ABC Family / Freeform.
Yeah.
I will say something I remember of the time is I don't remember if it's season 7 or 6 when they cut the mid-series finale, maybe. It's when they launched the name change from ABC Family to Freeform. It was either coming back from a break or the last episode before a break. We can look into it closer when we get there. And because that's when they had the most people watching.
Yeah, totally.
And like at the time I was like, what a weird thing to do.
It's like, well, like, nope.
Oh.
If we can piggyback off the big event television, then we can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it totally made sense. Yes, so fun little trivia facts for you. The pilot filmed in Vancouver, so this does not apply to the pilot.
Okay.
Going forward, you may recognize some of the streets, the sets, the locations.
So things start to change when it becomes a
when it's like actually, yeah. So like episode 2 going forward, it's filmed.
When it's a series, not
it's
just
now it's no longer filmed in Vancouver, and it's definitely filmed on the lot. Because you will see things like maybe a Luke's Diner with a different branding.
Okay.
Or the church, I think, is going to be very familiar. The bells and the bell tower, things like that. Some houses and porches might be similar. And I think it'll be fun to play a little game of whose porch is that.
Right.
But not that first pilot episode. Like Allison's parents are recast almost immediately.
That's really funny.
I was like, I don't know this lady. We can get to that in a minute. Yeah, like little set pieces like that. I don't remember if I think the gazebo might even play into it, but I can't remember. So
the gazebo from
Gilmore Girls
okay.
might be visible in
because,
Pretty Little Liars.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because there is talk of a gazebo in this first episode.
Yes, but I don't know if that's the same one. Another thing, Arya loves English literature. We learned this in the first episode. Characters around her named after like famous authors or like literary characters. It's a fun little game to play. This, I don't think there's anything like this for any of the other characters.
She seems, while this is multiple perspectives, she seems the most like our POV.
They really centered her in the pilot to give you like an anchor point of like someone who feels detached, I think, from what's been happening in Rosewood for the last year.
Exactly, because she comes back and is learning along with us.
It's technically an ensemble cast, you know what I mean? Like there is no technical main girl.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think it starts to kind of, I don't know, I'll have to watch to see if it spreads out a little more evenly. And then Ashley Benson, who plays Hannah, recommended the show theme song or the intro song to Marlene King when she heard it, because they were looking for a song for the show. Gotcha. So when you'll hear the pilot didn't have the full intro. I feel like it had like a shorter version. Yeah. So when you hear the full thing, then you'll understand why I keep singing to Herman in the specific tone that I do.
Okay.
And I think any other trivia, facts, tidbits, information will spoil things.
That's good.
Any questions before we jump into the pilot recap?
No, I think I have anything else. This was a big hit, I guess. Actually, just like impact. This was a big hit for ABC Family and Free. Yes.
I have an article. Let me see when it was from 2017 that says it's the last episode had 1.45 million same day viewers. It's pretty big. And that was after the show had kind of tanked.
Right, yeah, a little lower.
We had jumped the shark by then.
And that's in 2017.
That was in 2017.
Right? So the numbers are way lower.
there's quotes on here that it's like what the difference with Pretty Little Liars was it allowed them to get sexy in ways they hadn't gotten sexy before.
Oh,
You'll notice
unbutton the top button.
on the first episode, and one of the things that I think I found most like interesting about the show from the beginning, I was like, they're allowed to say bitch.
Oh yeah.
Like, you don't usually hear that on cable.
Like
Unless you're on like HBO or like Showtime, or,
right.
one of the like movie channels. But I was like,
there's an edginess.
Yeah. There's a vibe. I mean, the show's dark too. Like it gets dark.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and I feel like it was really like the first teenage murder soap opera that like did that well. Because I feel like Veronica Mars, amazing show,
cult hit for sure.
Cult hit though, very more niche market, also earlier. And also I think there was something about having a collection of like an ensemble cast versus having like one main character, because you either wanted to be Veronica, loved Veronica, or like you couldn't stand that character in that show. And so I think with this, because you have so many characters that you can pick from, it makes it a little
women.
more, and it makes it exactly all women, makes it more appeasing as a young woman to be like, ooh, I want to be like Arya or Hannah, or I want to dress like Spencer.
Right.
Not in the first episode though. But yeah, so those are the basics. It really took the world by storm. There was a lot of Twitter conversations at the time about who A was, where the plot was going. There are many narratives that the writers would just change what they were going to do because people had predicted where it was going to go. Who's to say?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not me.
I don't know. But what I do know is that you watched the pilot.
I did.
How do you feel? First and foremost.
Yeah, it's not there yet. I think there's like there's not a lot happening, but also there's a lot of wild stuff happening, and I think there's too much and too little at the same time. There's like too much like individual setup of the characters and too little setup of like making what will become, I'm assuming, the central murder mystery exciting. Yeah,
it's not a murder for the first half of the first episode.
No. So should we jump into the plot summary?
Yeah. And we've decided Brenton will probably be doing most of the plot recaps so that I don't spoil things.
Perfect.
And it's just a nice little test. Were you paying attention?
Exactly.
But I will interject if I see anything that I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. If you want to stop and talk about a point, we can re-interject.
But we can dig deeper into things at the end. I have kind of my little plot of like the important things that I want to talk about.
Perfect.
To me.
Yes. All right. So we open on a barn in Rosewood, Pennsylvania. 4 friends are hanging out inside and drinking. We don't receive all their names at the time, but they are Arya, Spencer, Emily, and Hannah.
I remember I was writing down like things and like, because I obviously know who's who, and I'm like, oh my god, they don't give you any information.
No. Yeah, this like beginning. That's what I'm talking about with like the mystery not being there. This beginning setup is just kind of like nothing. And then like you don't really get much. And that's why I said like the pilot isn't effective, but it's like, oh, obviously there's so little here that they can do a lot with it in the future. But yeah. So suddenly the power shuts off and they all huddle together to investigate a disturbance at the barn door. Their friend, who we later learned is named Allison, jumps out and scares them. They all breathe a sigh of relief and continue to hang. They're passing around like one individual cup, which we can assume has alcohol in it. And Allison grills Arya on finding out, her secrets will come spilling out when she's drinking, and claims that their secrets all bring them together. The scene jumps forward and they're all asleep, but Arya wakes to find that Allison is missing from her spot. Arya wanders to the bar door and sees Spencer return, saying Allison is missing and she has looked for her everywhere, couldn't find her, and thought she heard her scream. Cut to 1 year later. Arya has been de-hot topicked and is moving back to Rosewood with her family.
I'd written no more pink hair, but you really got that, baby.
Thank you. It was no more of the studded cufflinks or anything. She's not. I think she's wearing like a t-shirt and pants in the first scene.
Yeah, she goes very like like girly girl-ish
Mhm.
like after she returns from Iceland.
Right, which is very funny because it's like the inverse of how this is usually portrayed. It is
Mhm.
like, oh, the girl who's girly girl is now like edgy, wears a hoodie, and has like blue hair. Okay, I just played a game Oxenfree where this happens.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it's like it's the opposite. It's like I've taken out the pink streak out of my hair, and everybody talks about it at the beginning of this episode.
Having pink hair was a big deal in 2010.
Yes, it was.
I would know, I was doing it.
Exactly. And she's moving back to Rosewood with their family. It's the anniversary of Allison's disappearance, which makes her feel uneasy. Her mom pesters her into calling her friends, who she said she hasn't talked to in a while. Her dad then comes up to try and have a heart to heart, but Arya completely shuts him down and just replies to him pretty much, "I'll continue to keep your secret." In a minute. Arya avoids, like she drops her brother off for lacrosse practice and avoids calling her friends and instead goes to a bar and orders a cheeseburger.
Yeah, I wrote that down too because like my favorite thing is that like you know what I've never ordered at a bar?
Cheeseburger.
A cheeseburger.
Yeah, but it's also like because we later learn that she is in high school. We don't really know this at this time,
Uh-huh.
but it's just like you're just going to a bar.
We do know this already because her mom said something about being 16
Oh,
and
got
how
it.
time, I think it's already time, you've been gone for a year, but I know that feels like forever when you're
So that was
16.
probably in the
They
first.
made it really clear that she was 16 and I was like, oh.
There's it sailing right over my head. Still strange, like going to a bar. Whatever.
Mhm.
And so the lone patron there, who's reading a book, and not according to the Twitter people do not hate him. People love him. And is reading a book by himself. Talks to
I don't
her.
really think this is the best person to be using for the you should read a book at a bar
Bar.
argument.
And they both start talking, and it's apparent that they both want to hook up. He says he recently graduated from Hollis and asks what her major is, and she said she's thinking English. They flirt some more over writing and reading each other's writing, and eventually hook up in the bathroom. Hannah is at the mall trying on sunglasses with a friend, who she mean girls and said the scarf she's wearing makes her look like her mom. Hannah sees Spencer and leaves the sunglass counter and goes a floor up to talk to her, and they talk about how weird the anniversary of the disappearance is. This is a theme amongst all the girls when they talk to each other.
Yeah, because they haven't talked in a year. How the rest of them just ignore each other at school?
Or they just don't talk often.
They just don't talk.
Yeah, it seems, I think they, Emily later states that Hannah and Spencer kind of get along, but they don't see each
They're
other.
friends. They're friendly, but they're not friends.
Right. Oh, there you go. That, yeah. So they talk, Hannah and Spencer talking. Spencer says that Allison's claims about their secrets actually bringing them together did the opposite and kept them apart. Hannah walks off with the sunglasses to like leave the mall. Security guard, she gets freaked out by a security guard, but it's just a fake run-in as he helps her with her bag, and then she meets up with her friend who also shoplifted a scarf. Back to Arya and her dad dropping her off for her school, and tries to talk to her again about the secret affair. Says he still loves Arya's mom, and Arya's like, "Are you sure about that?" Which prompts Arya to have a flashback about her and Allison walking home as some nerdy girl is trying to catch up from behind. They also mean girl her and run around a corner and laugh, but when they round the corner, they see Arya's dad making out with a blonde in his car.
You do know that the girl that they mean girl is the same girl that Hannah was with.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you caught that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, it'll be in just a few sentences here.
Sorry.
Nope, you're all good. Arya heads into class and sees Emily. They walk together and discuss again how weird it is that it's the anniversary of Allison missing, and Arya admits that she thinks Allison is dead. Emily updates Arya on how they've all grown apart in the year that she's been gone, and they sit down in class. Hannah walks into class, and Emily says she's the new it girl. And then the girl that they froze out in the flashback scene turns out to be named Mona and is Hannah's close friend now, and is also has a big glow up. And Arya is shocked by this. Emily then turns to her and says, "Hey, I heard the new teacher's supposed to be hot." And in walks the dude from the bar who's named Ezra Fitz, but you may call him Mr. Fitz. He's shocked to see.
Is that what you call him?
Yeah, he wrote it on the board. He's shocked to see Arya in his class, as is the entire audience. Arya receives a text from a random number hinting that Fitz might be into minors, and the text is signed from the letter A.
Wait, no. What does the text say? Doesn't it say that he might like students like your dad?
Oh, does it say like your dad?
Yeah, it said something about her dad.
Oh.
Because I think we assume that the young woman the dad was making out in the car was a student.
Oh. Okay, that makes more sense.
Because he teaches at the college. So at least her dad, while having an affair, was at least having an affair with someone over 18.
Okay, so her dad works at the college?
I think so.
Oh.
Did they not give us that already?
Not
Sorry.
There is no details other than he had an affair.
Okay, well, I will keep my mouth shut then. Maybe not. Who's to say?
But okay, that is much different than what I wrote. Then, like, maybe Fitz had been had other.
No, let me. I'm sure someone has online. Like
Perfect.
Arya's first clue or first text from A. Not
Perfect.
a clue, I guess.
Yeah. I can keep going while we're looking it up. Emily and her mom talk in the kitchen, and her mom talks about Arya's hair and how could any parent let her do that? And then Emily's like, well, maybe some parents don't treat their children as accessories. And her mom's like, well, it's very important how how our family looks to the outside world in this town. Just being a great parent there. Emily then leaves and visits Allison's old house and meets Maya St. Germain, who is the new girl moving in. There's palpable attraction here, and they both discuss their beards. I mean, boyfriends. Maya asks Emily if she wants to smoke weed, which makes Emily uncomfortable. Emily then accepts, though, and Maya eventually susses out that it's her first time.
They smoke weed, but we do not see them smoke weed because ABC Family was cool with drugs, but like, don't do it in front of me.
And marijuana was not legalized in places yet.
No. The text to Arya says, maybe he fools around with students all the time. A lot of teachers do. Just ask your dad.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why it's important that we know that Allison saw with Arya, because Allison should be the only one who knows besides Arya.
Got it. Perfect. That is a very good clarification. And we move scenes to Spencer and her sister Melissa, who is moving back home, and they butt heads because Melissa and her fiance are moving into the barn, which Spencer turned into a loft. Spencer's pissed because, hey, I turned it into a loft. I should be living there.
She was going to live there for her junior year.
Yeah.
That was
there you go.
They do tell us what year they are.
Yeah. We had discussed earlier. I was like, I don't know what year are they in high school, but there you go.
16, junior year.
Yeah. Later, Ren, who's Melissa's fiance, is smoking a cigarette outside
because he's British.
Yes. Having a smoke outside, and Spencer is also there sitting like apart aside from him, and he puts out the cigarette, and she grills him on whether Melissa knows about it, and he says that Melissa doesn't have to know about everything and apologizes to Spencer for taking the law from her. Again, we have more chemistry here between people, and Spencer admits that he's different from Melissa's other boyfriends because she likes him. Uh-oh.
And an important thing to note here is I always just assumed, I don't know if they ever give us the information, that Melissa is about the same age as Ezra. Like, that's how I put it in my head. You know what I mean? Like, they're good. They're in their 20s, I would assume.
Got it. Okay.
Or at least 20.
That's what I was assuming. At least like I was doing like 3 years kind of thing, so like 1920. But...
Yeah, I think it's 20 because I think she's out of college. Oh no, she's not done with college yet, huh? Because school hadn't started. So yeah, maybe 20.
Got it.
Take.
Then Arya visits Mr. Fitz after class as nice, soft music plays. She tries to say a relationship would be okay, but he pulls back. Back to Maya and Emily, and Maya continues to hammer home that Emily is her first jock friend, so everybody knows in the audience that, hey, Emily's a jock. Emily tells Maya about Allison's disappearance, which Maya somehow didn't know, even though moving into her house.
I thought that was really odd too. Like, if I was gonna move into the house of a girl that had gone missing, you would think I would have somehow found out.
And it seems like the town all knows about it because there's like flyers up and things. And then they awkwardly cheek kiss. Emily and Spencer see each other in the locker room after some sort of sporting activity. Emily opens up her locker and finds a note alluding to Emily finding a new friend to kiss, also signed from A. Ren and Spencer, back at her house, flirt in the kitchen in their swim trunks, and he gives her a weird back massage because her shoulders hurt from extracurricular athletics because she's in high school, Ren. They separate awkwardly as Melissa comes home, and Ren pretends like nothing is happening. Arya's parents are then drinking wine together. And Dad makes a cryptic mention of that nothing would be able to come between the family and Iceland, but he's not so sure about Rosewood. But when his wife tries to pursue the conversation, he diverts it. He then dooms the entire family by claiming that they'll all be okay if they're together.
He did. He truly did that, huh?
Oh, yes. Spencer then stares out her bedroom at Ren and Melissa kissing,
but Spencer is wearing what I can only describe as Ralph Lauren Avril Lavigne.
Right, because it's the tie.
2010. It's a white button down with the vest, or almost like the like the suit vest thing, almost like a but it's tight.
Yeah, what are those called?
Because it's not a cummerbund, because that's the tummy part.
Yeah.
And a tie that is like untied down to like here.
Yeah.
And it is like to her like mid chest. It's formal Avril Lavigne.
That is a very good description of it. Skater boy era is Avril Lavigne.
I mean, she dresses the same.
Does she?
I mean, I think she, like, as the trends change, or maybe her, like, instead of wearing low-waisted, she wears high-waisted. But, like,
still wearing
Avril Lavigne is
pop
with punk. She's
with the tie down.
Or I guess it's more of like the black on black, or the poofy skirts. A lot, so you still get that hot pink in there too, because you gotta be edgy, but you gotta have fun.
Right, a little bit of femininity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, staring at her bedroom, watching Ren and Melissa kissing, but is interrupted by an email. The email alludes to her wanting Melissa's boyfriends in the past, and it's also signed from A.
Poor Spencer always wants Melissa's boyfriend, but remember, if you kiss, I tell.
There you go. Perfect.
I looked up the A messages. There's a Pretty Little Liars wiki that has every message from A per episode per season.
Great. Yeah, this is much better. We get a flashback then of Allison, Hannah, and Spencer all hanging in the kitchen. Marissa arrives home with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend mentions something to Spencer. It's like, hey, I'm happy to help you with whatever you need help with. Seeing there that Melissa has a type. Allison then asks to the room, but specifically to Spencer, if she, like, her sister knows about things, if she told her sister. Things get awkward. Spencer diverts the conversation. Melissa and the boyfriend leave, and Spencer gets mad at Allison, and Allison claims that Spencer won't say anything about her, about what happened, which is kissing her boyfriend. She will tell Melissa.
Ian
is the boyfriend.
Ian, yeah. He's introduced, so he has the name already.
Got it. Yeah, probably mentioned as they came in. In the present day, Spencer returns to looking out the window and
Spencer tells Allie that if she keeps pushing about the Ian thing, she'll tell about the Jenna thing.
Yeah. So Spencer pushes back.
Yeah. So Allie's like, she's playing checkers, but Spencer's playing chess. Like, I'll tell about the Jenna thing.
Got it. Yes.
I wrote plot thickens.
Absolutely.
Because, like, what is the Jenna thing?
And that gets repeated. And I was not expecting it to go where it goes, but we'll get to that in the summary.
I think the second episode is, like, called the Jenna thing.
Really?
They answer the question quickly.
In the present day, Spencer returns to the window and thinks she sees Allison in the window of Allison's old house. Emily and Aria then discuss receiving notes from A, but don't discuss the content of the notes. Just that they've received them. Aria said,
Emily said, "Hey, Em, I've been replaced. You found another friend to kiss."
Yes. Perfect. Aria said Allison is messing with them and claims wasn't that her favorite sport. We then cut to Hannah and her mom having dinner, and they discuss lighthearted subjects like Hannah's dad leaving. Mom clarified that she is the only one who's aggrieved that she left her, not Hannah. A-class parenting. Hannah answers the door to police officers who ask to see her mom and say the mall has a video of Hannah shoplifting. They then arrest a minor for what I thought at the time was an overreaction, but is much more insidious, and more on that later. Hannah's mom...
It is also like, okay, I'm pretty sure they were like Prada sunglasses, so they're like, oh, it's like certain $1,100 or whatever. But like, who arrests a 16-year-old for theft?
Because this guy is a predator and abusing power, I don't think it was about that at all. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Hannah's mom talks to the officer at the station, and Hannah receives a text from A saying prison food will make her fat.
Be careful, Hannah. I hear prison food makes you fat. And it's also good to note that Hannah had been reaching towards a thing of M&Ms when she got the text.
Oh, God.
On the table.
Okay.
Or candy of some sort.
Hannah and her mom leave the station, and as they sit in the car, Mom imparts on her how important their image is in a small town. And Hannah cops to being a serial shoplifter, and her mom attributes this, saying she's just trying to get her dad's attention. Again, she's putting on a parenting clinic.
Ashley Marin is not. She's doing the best she can as a single mother.
Yeah, but you're just doing this for attention is a really bad tactic to take.
Also, I'll take care of it, and like your reputation matters. Like this is the second parent we've heard like really say like that the reputation, like their best friend was kidnapped.
Yeah.
What reputation do they have?
Totally. Yeah, the awful parents in this town, and even the ones that are returning. I mean, we don't know about Arya's mom, just her dad.
No, Ella seems pretty chill.
Yeah, she seems all right. Emily walks home and sees an ambulance heading toward Maya's and runs over. Maya meets her out front and says they found Allison's body. One by one, the friends all arrive and they see a body bag wheeled out. Arya then finds Spencer and walks up to her and said Hannah was at the police station tonight. She starts a sentence going on about, like, I wonder if the cops know, and Hannah finishes it with, the Jenna thing, we made a promise.
Like, we'll never tell about the Jenna thing.
Yeah. Later, Hannah is at home watching the news, eating ice cream, when her mom and a man barge in, making out. The man is the police officer.
Detective Wilden.
Yes. And so we can now see that he's an absolute predator.
Yes, and Ashley is somehow sleeping Hannah's innocence.
Yes, exactly. He quid pro quo.
Exactly.
And he leads the mom upstairs as the mom stares Hannah dead in the eyes with a look that says, you did this.
That's how you took that?
Yes.
I took that as like a keep your fucking mouth shut.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, could it be all of those things?
It could. It's just a look. Yeah.
It's bad. It's unclear.
It's real bad. We then cut to Allison's funeral with everybody in town attending. Mr. Fitz and Arya talk privately, and he apologizes for being a jerk. And I start to go, uh-oh. And Arya walks away, and he grabs her, and they make out, from which I go, uh-oh. You know, men truly be targeting high schoolers.
Well, and it's like, she's like, you know what? I have to walk away. And she, as all of us have done, you know, kisses her teacher on the cheek, which is a completely normal reaction to do.
That's what I did. Thank you for the lesson.
Mr.
And when you're really mad at a teacher, you know, it was really tough to kiss him on the cheek that day. And it's just, they called you out in front of the class as you're walking out one by one, and they go, Brenton, and it's just like, see you tomorrow.
But I was just like, who, like, I don't know. It made me laugh.
Right.
And then he's like, he goes from the like, I can't date you because you're a child to like, but don't you feel this spark? Let's make out on the staircase at your best friend's funeral.
Oh, I didn't know you were friends.
Like, how emotionally manipulative.
It's really bad.
She is in a vulnerable state.
As your teacher, I say, pucker up.
Then we see Allison's parents recast in parentheses. Like, who are these people?
Arya walks up to Allison's mom, and Allison's mom invites her to sit up front with her friends in the front pew because that's what Allison would have wanted.
Yes, I would have wanted all my friends to sit in the front row to look at my casket.
Exactly. And they all mentioned that Allie would have loved this because she loved attention in life and loves attention in death.
Popular in life and in death.
There you go. Popular. Arya gets a text. They all freak out, even though, they realize that it's just from her dad, but they then all realize that they've all been individually contacted by A. The crowd murmurs as a blind girl is lit, who turns out to be the aforementioned Jenna. After the service, Officer Wilden stops all the friends and says he'll need to interview them all again. And he's going to get to the bottom of this because this is now a murder case. Arya asks...
Because he wasn't looking for the missing person.
No, not at all.
I have to re-interview you all because this went from a missing persons investigation to a murder. And I was like...
What the fuck are you doing?
Baby boy, have you been looking?
So once they're away from the police officer, Arya then asks everybody if he would know about blank, but she doesn't finish it, gets cut off by Hannah, and Hannah just definitively says no. They then all receive a text message saying, I'm still here, bitches, and I know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Bean.
There you go. Good job.
Thank you very much.
So a couple of things I want to talk about. A knows things that only Allison would know, and is obviously pretending to be Allison in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Because of the information and the A.
Right, and we are not entirely sure that it isn't Allison until she is. Well, we're still not entirely sure because this is how these things go.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems much more sure that it is someone else after we find out Allison is in fact dead.
Yes. Yeah, they lead us at the beginning half of the episode to believe that it could be Allison. And then you're like, well, shit, they found a body.
Yeah.
So the four main girls have secrets. Do you want to recap what information Allison had on them that is now being used against them? The initial? Okay.
Arya's dad, Emily's queerness, Hannah's shoplifting problem, or no, sorry, Hannah's body image issues, and then Spencer's proclivity for her sister's boyfriends.
Very specific. What do you think the Jenna thing is? No clue.
A bullying thing gone wrong is my. I don't know what the hell happened. That I'm assuming she did something that blinded her. But a bullying thing.
A bullying thing.
I mean, she could have been like blind to begin with, and like they're picking on
a disabled person.
Yes, exactly.
Ezra Fitz, how do you feel?
Oh, good God. So this is I think something to bring back up. It's a gross trope where it is a lot of times a teacher. But say the allure of like the older man, older woman,
older men specifically as a woman, because as a girl you're taught that your boys your age are dumb. And that if you want to have someone who's going to take care of you or do things the way you want them to or show up as a man, then you have to date a man.
Yeah.
When you are a child, you should not date a man. You should date a fellow child of a similar age.
Exactly. And yeah, it's something that recurs a lot in teen soaps. I mean, but in wider fiction for sure. But like, at least with what I'm familiar with, teen soaps, and like you mentioned, Cardcaptor Sakura, so shoujo anime. Where it is that like that older man who is older, and in the context of the show, at least I don't know how it goes with Fit. We're digressing, but the older individual is not necessarily a predator. It is a nice person, but it's like more treated as forbidden love or like star-crossed lovers kind of thing. And
let me tell you about
someone
the story
that can take care of you, sort of thing.
Lolita. I think it's very Nabokov-esque. Like it's very it's attempting to play into that literary piece there where it's like like why they love the younger person. I don't, it gets kind of hairy that way.
Right, exactly. It's that stumbling block to something, but it's like I know it's wrong, but like exactly, but we're both it treats both parties as like adults that are able to make these decisions and then come and who cares what the world says.
It treats 16-year-old girls like consenting adults.
Exactly. We are not there yet, I don't think, with this, and I don't want to I don't want to weigh where this goes. It's a bad trope to begin with. If they did do something where it's like, oh, he is actually like potentially a predator and stuff, that could be like interesting. It doesn't seem like it's going that way right now. So that's it, but this isn't just a Pretty Little Liars thing, so I don't want to like but I can understand why this would say turn people off. I mean, this happens in Riverdale where it's gender swapped, and that's like it's not quite on it to where like this is a bad thing, but she does get run out of town. But I mean, this is something also gender swapped that happened like in Dawson's Creek, like but it's more like oopsies in this than actually like grooming someone or like the context of what that is. So but also you also have to then weigh it with that there are other men who are technically adults that are also trying to go after minors. Like this is a thing that's also with Ren and because that I can't tell if they're also treating that as this is an older man going after a younger girl who's still in high school, or if it's just like
Spencer always
Spencer
goes for Melissa's boyfriend.
exactly
Well, but
is
it seems
extremely jealous and vindictive of Melissa.
Or do Melissa's boyfriends always flirt with Spencer?
It really seems that way.
Doesn't it? Yeah, I wrote down, why does Ren want to flirt with a high schooler?
Right, and especially why does he want to flirt with the sister of his fiance?
It's suspicious.
Right. So I mean, it could be playing with things there, but I don't know where that goes.
Okay. My other note is Allie a good person?
I have no idea.
Fair enough.
She is like
I think that's very ambiguous.
Like here, there's like she like is in the right of like you need to tell your sister about like what happened with the Spencer situation, and I don't think we get we get other people talking about her in cryptic things of like, oh, she's a like she loved keeping secrets and like she like messing with people, but then but then all the scenes with her, it's not quite exactly that.
I mean, she does it at the beginning, like she scares them
Yes.
on purpose.
Right.
She turned off the lights. She spooked them. She also is it seems like the one who's instigating the drinking. Like
she pushes Arya for
she's
sure.
like, it's your turn.
But they had already been drinking before she got there. That's kind of like.
But I assume she was already there. Like she had gone somewhere and came back. I don't know though. Maybe she was. I have no idea.
Didn't seem like it. It seemed like they're. I don't know. Yeah,
if she was arriving,
right,
I don't know if that's ever confirmed. Like I can't tell you. I cannot tell you the timeline of the night that Allison went missing. Because I don't. Right. I could not, even if I wanted to. And also, it would ruin things for you. But it is.
Yeah, I don't have enough of a sense of. She's not as enough of a presence in this, and I think that's one of the things that I think why the pilot isn't effective. Like it doesn't build up that side of the equation like good enough for you to feel invested. Like it's gonna be really unfair for me to compare this to Twin Peaks because the pilot is like the pilot is the gold standard of just like TV pilots in general. Like so you can't it is very unfair of me to make this comparison right now. But I think like it's instructive of like Laura Palmer isn't a character in that episode, but we get an idea of like how she affects every single one. And I don't think we quite get that as much here, other than everybody kind of
I think
she's no longer factoring it into their lives as much as it does in like Twin Peaks, where like people are like, there's this like shockwave, like Bobby just starts crying out of nowhere because he can understand something's wrong. When they find her body on the shore, they're like, oh my God, that's Laura. Like everybody immediately knows she's this like big presence in everybody's lives that we kind of see. Whereas like here, it's like, well, we've kind of shuffled on, moved on, and now we only refer to her in the past tense of like, it's kind of weird how it's affected our lives, and oh, she used to be kind of mean to us.
She'd been missing for a year, which I think is the piece there.
Totally.
I also think like I interpret the way they seem to set up, like from the way I view this pilot, it's like, okay, Emily is the good person.
Yes.
Emily being a good person is the reason why the girls all become friends again, basically, because she brings the attention to Arya that she's getting these notes as well. And then there they snowball. Yeah.
Emily is absolutely the best person here. Like her, well, yeah, I don't want to, never mind. I will disregard that. But she like, specifically the thing that is being held over her head is like reprehensible.
Yes. No, it's absolutely
like,
horrendous.
It's all bad. But like it's specifically awful.
Yes. No, like, especially the time frame we're in 2010, the small town. The idea that the mom and Ashley, Hannah's mom, and all of these parents are very keen on how you're being perceived. Yeah, I think that the reason why I feel I always felt, even when I watched it the first time, but I also had been introduced to the show before I watched the pilot. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Is that I felt like the way, since all four girls responded to Allie in the sense that it's like we loved her dearly, she also tormented all of us. Like she loved to play with us.
Mm.
I was like, oh, that's a little scary.
Mhm.
Like a little scary in a friendship, especially at like 15.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, like how big was the game she's playing?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so then I think that that part is really, and the fact that she's the only one who knew everyone's secrets,
Mhm.
and our secrets are what brings us closer. Um, makes me feel like, ooh, like maybe was she, is she a good person? Is she not? Is she
Right.
an instigator? Is she not? I mean, I think it's also like there's no such thing as good and bad people, so there is that aspect. And also like teenagers are just they get a bad reputation.
Right.
And wealthy teenagers in a small town, I'm sure, are not, they aren't the most well received.
Right. Totally.
So I think they set her up in a little more interesting way where you're not quite sure about her.
Yeah.
Because like people talk, but she was beloved, but people talk.
Yeah. I think there's so many things other like going on in this episode that are just like being floated of like these peoples that like the Allison stuff was the least came off as the least interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
at least that's again just this episode. I mean, we're going off pilot, 45 minutes, and the like. You
No
listen to the
character
summary,
development.
like Jesus Christ, yeah. Like I don't think we needed to know. There's like, I think the lengths of like some of this stuff. I think we could have gotten the hint about Arya's dad without having to see everything. Like there's kind of repeated stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For like each kind of thing where we don't really need to understand. Other than I think like Emily's is good. But I think like Arya's and Emily's, it's like, or not Emily's, Spencer's. We don't need. It's like okay, we get it without the like the flashbacks and things, or maybe not
Mm-hmm.
the flashbacks, but like a couple of the scenes in front of it.
Yes.
Because you're right, the flashbacks are important because Allie was there for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the importance of the flashback is like what does Allie know?
Mm-hmm.
And if A isn't Allie, how does A know what Allie knew?
Right.
And what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the true mystery of it. That's what it was for me. I was like, okay, so like not who is A, but like how did A?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But yeah, it's also very funny too that you pointed out that Arya's things about her dad,
mm-hmm.
even though there are crimes happening in the episode where it's just like,
Well, but then it becomes about her. You know what I mean? Like it references her dad, and like that's a secret she's really worried about keeping. But then she compiles the second secret onto that secret that's related to that secret.
right.
Because Arya has a theme.
Got it.
I mean, in this episode,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is very like okay, this cycle. If it's okay that it's happening with your teacher, like how does that play into your father? But she is a child and not married, so
Yes, absolutely.
those are two important factors.
I mentioned to you after we watched the episode last night, there are crimes in this show, and then there are crimes.
And we don't investigate some of the crimes that should be investigated, at least so far.
Yeah. And what I mean is that there are things that the show telegraphs as bad, and there are things that are happening in the show that are bad. So like the
I think it paints Rosewood as a lawless town.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think that's part of it too. I never put that together before. But like the idea that like there are all these men with compromised morals right off the bat, and all these women are playing this game, or young women or teenagers, to try to maintain reputation, status, what they want, etc. And that blurs the lines of right and wrong for everybody. I mean, not for us, but
right. Yeah, but
it's very black and white over here.
Right. Police misuse of power fall in the crimes category. But then the like inappropriate teacher-student relationship, that falls in the crimes category. So that, one where it's like, yes, this is intentionally bad. Like, look at this abuse of power. And the way to maintain your image is predatory, and that's like bad. Here's show is bad. And it's just like May December romance between a student and teacher. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the other thing too that I like to think about is Hannah and Mona's glow up, and like the idea that like they went from like Hannah was like second string to Allison, and then Mona.
Oh, got it.
Or you know what I'm not second string per se, but just like, you know, as she was second to Allison, everyone was second to Allison.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Not
okay.
like
I didn't know if there was like a hierarchy of like, she was close with, but
I don't think so.
I didn't get a sense of that.
I mean, she was kissing Emily allegedly, so you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that part is interesting. And with the idea that like to show that Hannah had and still has disordered eating, because like they eat this really sad salad and she's picking the croutons out.
Got it.
But that she had comfort ate prior to becoming quote unquote popular. Is that like she's just like eating a cookie. And I'm like, wow, we really hate women. Like, we really hate women. Like, it is so obvious that, like, we could not possibly just fathom, like, a person eating.
Right. Uh-huh.
And, like, it not meaning anything.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, Hannah's relationship with food is problematic. And it will, I believe it will. Because it's right. The dirt Allie has on her is, like, the,
disordered eating.
Well, they call it like the fat Hannah. Like,
it's
like a whole thing, and it's not great. I don't like it.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's a fun one.
For those of you that are listening, I did use air quotes on that because I hated it. But I think if you start Googling things, that is what's going. So
got it. Yeah.
Just a warning.
But
it's very fat phobic. It's also very problematic because she's not fat. There's nothing wrong with being fat, but like portraying a character as fat when they're not is problematic, because like, what the fuck does that mean? So then actual fat people aren't allowed to exist.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue and the fat phobia there, that I'm like,
got it. Yeah.
Can't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in the flashbacks of Hannah, like, she's not
right.
fat.
There's no difference. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. She seemed the exact same.
Yeah. Or it's like they'll have her wear like a t-shirt that like covers her body. You know?
Got it. Yeah. There's no difference of body shapes in the show.
Well, and even if there, like, that shouldn't be a plot point.
Yeah.
It's just such a pointless plot point. And such a weird secret. Like, it's like Arya's dad had an affair. Right. Spencer kisses her sister's boyfriend. Emily is either bi, lesbian, in some sense of queer. And Hannah used to eat ice cream.
Right.
Like, that's not really a secret.
No.
It's and it's so problematic because it's very reflective of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Having a body, like, I thought I wasn't supposed to have thighs at that time in my life. I was like, oh. Gotta make those go away somehow. I guess I'll just pray them away. I was not actively trying to get rid of them. But like, that was the aesthetic of the time.
Totally. Yeah, she's definitely the other one where it's like, oh, you just feel bad.
Mm-hmm. The secret is very different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
and while I do feel bad for Arya too, because she doesn't know what she's doing with a older person, exactly, and like her father figures. The only one who really is just like, oh, Spencer's actually doing things.
Spencer is active in this first episode.
And aggressive in response.
Yes, Spencer's a fairly aggressive character. He's fairly assertive.
Got it. Seems that way.
Yeah, so far.
Mm-hmm.
Not like any of the girls are particularly shy.
No.
So how do you feel about your first episode of Pretty Little Liars?
Yeah, pilot I don't think is great, but there's a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
There's at least some good kind of soap stuff that's going on here.
Yes.
It's
very
that's what
up
you
the
come
time.
For. Right. Yeah. But you come for the like. People are all trying to protect images, have their own things. There you go. And true to the show, they've all got their secrets, and as we've evaluated on level of importance.
Their secrets.
Exactly. But yeah, it was funny you mentioning like wealth of just like it's just a background of just like kind of part of the show where it's like it's not really commented on, but it's like yeah, everybody's a pretty well off.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm in a very, I don't think I can afford housing in Rosewood.
No.
Maybe that's why they did the Ravenswood spinoff, affordable housing.
There you go.
Um,
But yeah, curious to see where it goes. Not bought in, but
What's
but
your favorite plot
skeptic.
point so far?
I feel like the stuff that's gonna come back and is just like wild is all the stuff with him.
Mm-hmm. Hannah does have a good plot.
It's just like Jesus when you are coming off the bat with a like my mom has a quid pro quo relationship with the police officer in this town to get me off the hook from shoplifting. Wild. That's wild episode 1 stuff.
Do you think she got to keep the sunglasses?
Probably. They didn't go ask for them.
Yeah, I think that is definitely like the wildest part.
And I say wild that it's also like just because it's it's gross, but also like damn.
Fair enough. And what's the plot point you could drop like that you're
I didn't pick up on it as much, but yeah, the stuff with their eating is pretty bad. But I'm trying to think like what was the one that like kind of like stood out to me. Yeah, I think that I mean you kind of nailed it there.
Yeah, it's so gross. And it's very of that time, and it's how much women can't take up space, and how dare you thin.
Yeah, Arya's stuff would probably be it, or at least the stuff with Mr. Fitz is
You're not calling him by Ezra?
No, I think it makes it much more impactful when we refer to him as a teacher. Yeah, that stuff is probably worth dropping too.
Yep. Yeah. That's mess.
It is.
It's messy.
Yep.
Are you regretting jumping into this with me?
No.
Okay, good. Because you're on the hook now for 159 more episodes.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like the pilot's just not interesting, but it's not a train wreck.
That's a fair assessment.
So it's like fine.
Maybe when we finish it too, we'll have you rewatch the podcast or rewatch the pilot.
Oh, no. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna edit these already.
We'll rewatch the pilot, and you can like be like, oh yes, these plot points totally mattered.
Got it. Perfect.
Or,
exactly. That was here.
Interesting. That doesn't work. You'll know what the Jenna thing is soon.
Perfect.
I think. Yeah. Well, there we go. Or do you want to look up what the next episode is called?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Oh, I could have grabbed my DVDs, which we are watching. So if you're watching this on HBO, you may be seeing something different. I don't know if they've edited or deleted scenes or added in deleted scenes.
Oh, yeah.
We have season 1 and 2 on DVD because I am.
Yes, it's called the Jenna thing.
I am me. And so we can look at the episode summaries for that are in the DVD case and all those bonus features.
Yeah.
I don't really think there are many.
If I'm okay to watch the behind the scenes, let us know because I'd be interested. But
if not, when we finish season 1, you can.
Exactly. Yeah. If it's spoiler, then I won't.
We should wait. No, because the whole plot, like one wrong statement is a complete spoiler because like the plots come in from left field and then you're like, who? Or like they're here?
Gotcha. Got it.
It's not. So yes, this next episode will be the Jenna thing.
Perfect.
Are you excited?
Yeah. I'll learn what the hell happened.
Okay.
And yeah, we're just watching one for next time, but we'll see how it goes with just one episode at a time.
Yeah, we might jump into 2 at a time because there are certain aspects. It's hard because like I can't remember which episodes are like more meaty.
Right, yeah. And I know this one is extra long because we also had stuff to talk about at the beginning, and it's the introduction. So
Mhm.
we'll kind of see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. All right. Well, anything else? Send them off on their merry secrets.
Nope. I'm
Maybe
see what happened next time.
they have to keep the secret though, because they probably know what happened.
That is true.
I assume if you're
do not
listening
spoil
to
it for me.
this, you've probably, maybe, potentially seen Pretty Little Liars. And if you
Yes.
haven't, join in on the fun. Join Brenton on a first walkthrough. I believe you can get it on HBO streaming.
And yes, please don't spoil.
Don't
That'd be
spoil
nice.
it.
Yes, HBO Max.
Perfect. Well, we can't end it like Gossip Girl, like you can't be like XOXO Gossip Girl because it's not. It's A. And A doesn't have like a.
Do you want to do plugs?
Oh yeah.
We're out of practice.
We're out of practice. I have. Who am I?
Yeah.
When I'm not here doing this or watching Pretty Little Liars, I am a life and career coach, and I've worked in HR, so I do actually know how to career coach people. Hopefully, that's what the reviews say. I got a really nice client email the other day of someone thanking me.
Don't take my word for it.
Yeah. I help people get their shit together, basically, and I help people figure out what they want to do or how they want to do it or how to find little pockets of career success wherever they can. And you can find all of my coaching details on butreallythough.com. I also have a blog over there. I have a YouTube channel that's linked over there, and I have a TikTok that's linked on that website as well.
And you can find me on Twitter at Brenton, and on YouTube where we do Let's Plays on my YouTube channel Burger Discourse. We're playing through all of the Kingdom Hearts games, and right now we're on Reach Into Memories. You can go watch those. And I also have a blog, Burger Discourse, or burgerdiscourse.com. And then yeah, you can now find this on all your podcast platforms at Dead Ends, or if you're watching this video version, up on YouTube at Dead Ends.
There we go.
Yeah, rate and review, subscribe. I know we only got one episode on this, so
And
you can always wait. But
you got feelings on Pretty Little Liars, you let us know. Just don't spoil anything for Brenton.
No. Yep.
It's
Leave
very
those
hard
spoilers
for
off
me.
in the comments, please.
I have to work really hard on not spoiling things because the plot just like picks up and it slows down. It picks up and it slows down. And I don't remember half of it. So yeah. You know everything?
Do I know
Are
everything?
you still here and do you know everything?
I do. Yeah, what would be a good sign off?
I know, we got nothing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm truly excited that ABC Family let them say bitches. I'm still here, bitches, and I know everything. We'll just sign it off A. You know?
Yeah.
A. Something menacing. A.
We're still here, and we'll find out everything.
You will find out everything.
Signed A.
And B. And E.
Yeah, signed B and E.
All right, bye, friends.
Bye. Hi, everybody. Brenton in the edit. We mentioned that we're only watching one episode per week, but we have decided that we can move at a faster pace. So going forward, we will be watching 2 episodes a week. So for next time, it'll be episodes 2 and 3, and 2 episodes going forward. So again, episodes 2 and 3.